Hello. So now in this video we're going to start talking about equations involving fractions. So how do we deal with these? Okay, well the first thing is you got to understand that if you have an equation with fractions, one of the easiest ways to deal with this is to just get rid of the fractions. Okay? Because once we get rid of the fractions and we have all whole numbers, then we can easily solve them. Okay, so how do we get rid of these fractions? Well, it goes back to what I talked about in previous videos about getting a common denominator. So we know that if we have different fractions, we can get a common denominator and then we can add and subtract them easily, right? So think about this. So just bear with me. So let's see, we've got three fractions here. Even though they're in an equation, we still have three fractions. Let's make them into a common denominator. So again, we factor out, we list the prime factors, right? So this is going to be what? 3 times 2 squared. Okay? This is going to be 2 cubed. And this is going to be 2 times 3. And so if we want the least common divisor, right? The least common divisor is going to be every distinct factor to the highest power that's seen. So we start with the smallest one, 2. Well, 2 cubed is the largest one, right? What about 3? Well, the largest power is just 1, so I'm just going to put 3 here. So that means our LCD is going to be 2 cubed times 3, which is what? 24. Okay, so hold that for a minute. Just hold this in the back of your mind, but let's focus on this. So that means, what am I going to have to do? So 2 cubed times 3. So again, let's go back to the way we were doing it before. So what do I need to do to the top and the bottom here to get this? Well, I need to multiply by what? I need to multiply by the top by what? I'm missing a 2. So I have to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. Right? So what would that do? I'd get a 2x over what? 2 cubed times 3. Right? I'm not putting a 24 in right now. And you'll see why. So I get 2x over this, right? Minus, now what am I missing here? I'm missing a 3. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 3. So I get 3 over 2 cubed times 3. And here I'm missing what? I've got the 2, I've got a 2 and I've got the 3, but I'm missing 2 squared. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2 squared. So that means I'm going to get equals 2 squared times x plus 2 over 2 cubed plus 3. Okay, so now, I'm just showing you, all I did was I used the least common divisor to write this equation with a common divisor. Okay, now, remember, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you do to the other side of the equation. So what would happen if I took this entire equation and I multiplied by the LCD? If I multiplied all of these by the LCD, well, the LCDs would all go away. So if I multiplied by the LCD all the way through, what would I end up having? I would be left with 2x minus 3 equals 2 squared times x plus 2. And this is the same as this. Okay? Just a different form. Now, that seemed like a lot of work, but here's the takeaway. If I start over with this equation, here's my point. If I start with this equation and I just find the LCD, right, and I just multiply through by the LCD, watch what happens. Okay? So I have x over this, right? So I just factored it, minus 1 over two cubed, right? Equals x plus 2 over 2 times 3. So now all I'm going to do now is take my equation that I have, I'm just going to multiply through by the LCD. So now what happens? I get 2 cubed times 3x over 2 squared times 3 minus 2 cubed times 3 over 2 cubed equals 2 cubed times 3 times x plus 2 over 2 times 3. Now watch what happens. I get things that cancel, right? This cancels with that, 3 cancels with this, and I get 2x minus, this cancels with this, and I get 3. Right? And then this cancels with one of these, and the 3's cancel, and I get 2 squared times x plus 2. So the point is, here's the takeaway. To solve equations involving fractions, you have to find the least common divisor and then just multiply through by the least common divisor. Because then our final equation becomes, that we can solve easily, is 2x minus 3 equals 4 times x plus 2. And then we know how to solve this, right? And so all we have to do is write 2x minus 3 is equal, and now all I have to do is just distribute the 4. So I get 4x plus 8. And now I just have to isolate the x variable, right? So I can subtract 2x from both sides. And I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And so what do I get? I get negative 11 equals 2x. Or, in other words, if I divide both sides by 2, I get x equals a negative 11 over 2. And that's the answer. Okay, see you next time.